There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Oh, hola, bon dia. As soon as the music finished, I realized I was listening to a YouTube news channel. Go away. Okay, yes, trying to do a show here. Excuse me. Hola, bon dia. Alegria Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream, and podcast. How are you today? Do let us know in the chat. It is, of course, the touch of Tony time. The man in the Mino joins us at 9 this morning. And our pal in Ponte Lima, João Norte, also with us from 9:30 this morning, catching up with the expanding diary and lifestyle of John and Pam in the north. John having a fine time, all sorts of amazing experiences up there in Ponte Lima. And this, which I didn't manage to play yesterday, I am still a little bit behind with me work, still playing catch up here at GMP HQ. However, I didn't manage to play this yesterday. I'll play it for you this morning, and it will be a this is what I wish for you today on what is supposed to be, according to Mrs. M, a rather eggy full moon today. If you find yourself crossing swords with people today, it may well be the full moon. Anyway, what I hope for you is that you have a day rather like this, where you land right on the target. Check this out from Ponte Lima. Find out more about this activity and all the other wonderful goings on up in Ponte Lima a little bit later on, around 9:30. But check this out. Tell you what, if I jumped out of a plane and landed spot on the target like that, I'd want a bigger round of applause and that gentle smattering that person got landing there on the target in Ponte Lima. Fantastic. Let's see who's in this morning. Got some very interesting things lined up for you before John and Tony get here. Pete's in as well. Is that okay? Yeah, it's a joke. Thank you very much, Pete, for that. Very good. Pete's in. Sue's T-Duck, of course. The Salvation Air Force, who has been prolific with a bit of blogging, a God Squad tip of the day. And I noticed, looking at your blog briefly, Salvation Air Force, that you like a little bit of growing old disgracefully and a bit of mug merch as well. We'll check that out too. Thank you, T-Duck, for your content. We'll come to that in just a moment after we've said a few hellos. Who else is in this morning? And if you are listening and you haven't said anything in the chat, don't be afraid. It's a lovely, warm welcome here. I know there are some regulars, but they will move aside as you shoulder your way into the front line and say hello to the Good Morning Portugal community here. So good morning to you. If you haven't as yet said hello, if you're feeling a bit shy, you will be looked after. It's like your first day at school, really. And we will have James look after you. He is our, what is that person called? You know, your first day at school and you get buddied up. Yeah, he's our Gumper buddy who will make sure you're fine. And you have a nice first day at GMP school. That's, of course, if you haven't been watching for months and haven't dared. I mean, I guess the longer you leave it, the harder it becomes, so to speak. João Norte is here already. Bon dia, alegria todos. Susie's in, as mentioned. And Baddy too. How you doing? How's the car search going? And, of course, it's great to see Andy back. Oh, Andy and Lola are back in Aveiro. A little bit of a hairy return journey to the United States, but back home now. You see how he uses the word home there to refer to Portugal. Isn't that fantastic? And yes, of course, new survey, reasons why. Someone calling me as well now. It is a full moony kind of odd day this morning, with all sorts of unexpected items in the bagging area, I suspect, today. But anyway, what? Back home, says Andy. Great to see you back, and glad it all turned out fine in the end, Andy. And we kind of know it will, don't we? We kind of know it will. But yes, of course, when you're facing these trials and tribulations, it's not so easy to be so cool and easy about it. And I had a toss-up between the memes that I was showing this morning, the intro meme, In Japan, what we went with is in Japan, we have the phrase shoshin, which means a beginner's mind. The goal of practice is always to keep our beginner's mind. This means an empty mind and a ready mind. If your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It is open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. You see, and we prize experts, don't we, over beginners in our culture. There's a little flip around on that way of thinking, or no thinking, perhaps. There was going to be that or this, which I think now is useful in relation to the trials and tribulations I just mentioned about coming to Portugal and all the bureaucratic hoops that you have to jump through, like you do, I guess, moving anywhere. Life is so subtle sometimes that you barely notice yourself walking through the doors you once prayed would open. That's good, isn't it? And I think that does apply to some of the things that are quite anxiety provoking. And in the end, it's like, well, what was that all about? Why was I so worried about that? Tiago Zeferino is in. Look at these two great cooks, chefs, standing shoulder to shoulder here. The great Tiago Zeferino in the south. Good morning to you in Burgao. I suspect, Tiago, great to see you. Thanks for popping in. Bon dia, Carl, you say. How's it going? I hope spring and he's treating you well and you'll have a fantastic summer down there. Do check out Tiago's restaurant if you're going to Burgao or to the Algarve coast. Many people have in this community and many people have really enjoyed themselves. Thank you, Tiago. And yes, other notable cook here, chef. He prefers to be called cook rather than chef. I think you may well remember that. Hello, Gumpers, says Owen. Stand by for another photo safari from Owen coming up in the Gumper section, the Gumper zone of the website soon. Jean H also, and hey Jean, how are you? Lovely to see you here. Bon dia from you as well. So that's a few hellos. We'll come back. Yeah, if you haven't said hello yet this morning, please do, and we'll make sure you get a nice warm welcome. Yes, we have a survey. I did mention that just very briefly, and it's in the ticker tape. If you go to goodmorningportugal.com/survey, I have created a survey. I'm doing my best to address people becoming a little bit disheartened, disappointed, anxious, lacking in confidence when moving to Portugal because of a few things that are going on, not least CEF and now the new housing. I put in my 2 penneth about the reporting of the housing situation at the Portugal News. Hopefully we'll have the editor of the Portugal News here, or the publisher at least. Is he the editor or the publisher? Or both? Anyway, I hope that we will be able to speak to Paul Luckman one day, who did show an interest in joining us here. And I was letting off a bit of steam yesterday at the Portugal News because they were reporting that proposal of homes that are empty, if they haven't been let out within 100 days by the owner, the government will take them for leasing and renting out. I mean, you'll get paid for it, but it does sound a little bit draconian and forceful, doesn't it? And it was reported as though the headline looked like it had already happened. It hasn't happened. It's still at the proposal stage. And this whole business, that and CEF and one thing and another, global uncertainty, is having some people have a bit of a wobble. And we're going to help you with your wobbles this morning here. Well, and ongoingly, because we've created a survey, which is the idea of Tom, who said, you could ask people, I moved to Portugal because, what would their answers be to that question? I moved to Portugal because it could be one thing or a list. Hearing why people decided to move to Portugal would help those trying to decide if coming is worth it. I would say coming is definitely worth it. No pun intended. And I've created a survey based on your idea, Tom. So you can do that it's in the chat already. I put it in there, goodmorningportugal.com/survey. And we've got some lovely results already, which I'll tell you about after we've taken care of a few other important matters. The table's very wobbly today, isn't it? Is that making people feel nauseous? And what do you do for your sea legs at Salvation Air Force? People watching this, seeing me bounce up and down, might be feeling a little bit seasick. Sorry about that. I think I need to, I don't know what's happened here with the table, but there you go again. Stay tuned. Am I banging against the table, perhaps? All right, I'll withdraw away from the table and see if the studio desk, I should call it is actually a table. That's why I'm calling it a table. It's not a swanky studio desk with all the sort of broadcasting bells and whistles that sits around you in a horseshoe shape. I have tried one of those. That's a lot of fun. But no, it's the dining table with that we had when we moved into the house has been repurposed for broadcasting. Corey's in as well. How you doing, Corey? Shame we didn't see you last night at the Life and Death Cafe. But Emma and I had a great chat, and I'll release more details about the Life and Death Cafe if that's your cup of tea. Okay, T-Duck was in then at 7:55 with a deep thought. Bon dia, Alegria, says T-Duck to you Gumpers. A deep thought, it isn't what you have or who you are or where you are or what you're doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It's what you think about it. I think that's right. I think that deserves a rim shot of agreement, I think. Very good. Dale Carnegie, of course, was the American writer and lecturer and developer of courses in self-improvement, salesmanship, corporate training, public speaking, and interpersonal skills. And I think, when was he doing his thing, T-Duck? Dale Carnegie came to prominence probably was he a pre-war, pre-Second World War American writer, lecturer, and developer of courses in self-improvement? What time in history? I'm thinking that he was around the time of Napoleon Hill and other such writers. And who was it Dale Carnegie who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People? It's that time in American history, isn't it, when people were considering such things and laid the foundations, I guess, for the human potential movement as we know it in the West now. So yes, those great names. I've certainly been inspired by Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, and others. So who was that who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People? Don't care, some people might say. Who would want to do that? Portuguese saying, não mate a galinha dos ovos de ouro. Don't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. A ubiquitous, perennial, and global favorite there for the Portuguese for you in that instance. Não mate a galinha dos ovos de ouro. Do not kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. And yes, I'm going to keep saying it. Read that out loud, please. It helps you to get a firmer grasp of Portuguese. And who doesn't like a firm grasp first thing in the morning? Who knew? The Portuguese West Coast is part of the 4 major eastern boundary upwelling systems of the ocean. The seasonal upwelling, okay, we'll go with upwelling then. The seasonal upwelling system, typically seen during the summer months. And I think the ancient mariner might know a thing or two about this. Salvation Air Force. It's confusing. He's got so many nom de plumes and pseudonyms here. Says he's a biscuit designer, but I think he might be an international spy. It brings cooler, nutrient-rich. Let me just do that again so you know exactly what's going on here. The Portuguese West Coast is part of the 4 major eastern boundary upwelling systems of the ocean. The seasonal upwelling system, typically seen during the summer months, brings cooler, nutrient-rich water up to the sea surface, promoting phytoplankton growth. Good stuff, that phytoplankton. The great big sea mammals live on that, don't they? And look at them. Zooplankton as well, zooplankton development, and the subsequent rich diversity in pelagic fish and other marine invertebrates. This, adding to its large EEZ or EEZ, depending on how you say that, exclusive economic zone, makes Portugal one of the largest per capita fish consumers in the world. Yes, we are here among the largest per capita fish consumers in the world. Excellent stuff. Who knew? And thank you very much, T-Duck, for those. We'll come back to your dad jokes. And I realize I haven't been playing the dad joke warning recently or the trigger alert. I've got a feeling with the full moon, we might need the trigger alert at some point in the next day or two. But here's the dad joke warning. Just so you know, at any given time, there may be a dad joke tossed casually onto the screen, which can be upsetting for some people. So here's this. Warning. Yes, it will happen. And to prove that, Peter, that's very good. What is the most common owl? You have been warned, so what is the most common owl? And people think, tawny barn. No, the teat owl, of course. Ouch. Thank you very much for that, Pete. Let's go for some growing old disgracefully, a bit of gentle fitness for the bon vivants. You will like that, of course, and I will say this only once, bon vivants. Good morning, Portugal, from Coach Turner and his God Score tip of the day then. Carrying on from the rice system yesterday, when one has an injury, talking ice today, ding, 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 ding. In the immediate aftermath of an injury, it's important to apply cold to the affected area. A bag of frozen peas is as good as anything, though gel pads work well. Are you the sort of person who uses a bag of frozen peas on your injury and then cooks yourself a chicken dinner soon after and uses the aforementioned peas? I would never do that. Don't apply directly to the skin. Place Okay, yes. So it is hygienic to do this or that. Don't apply directly to the skin. Place a thin cloth first. I find a tea towel. Hey, spooky. Which of the jingles is this? No. Tea towel being the big clue today. Why has that been mentioned twice? Place a thin cloth first. I find a tea towel is good. Keep in place for 8 to 10 minutes, no longer, or the blood will start to flow back. And you don't want that. This can be repeated 3 to 4 times a day for a couple of days and is very effective on injuries close to the surface. And shout out to the bodies, the miracle that is the human body and how it heals, how it can heal itself with a little bit of help and intervention there. But it's the body that's doing most of the work, isn't it? Isn't it incredible, the body? Let's just take a moment. The body. Well done, body. Well done, everybody's body. I know that we tend to focus, don't we, on what's going wrong with the body, and of course we should, because it impedes our quality of life. But there are millions of things going on in that body of yours all the time, which we barely give it a thank you for. Right? Am I right? Am I right? I think I am. I think I am right. So please give your body some love today, or let someone else do that. Of course. Okay, Dale Carnegie then was the chap we mentioned before. I can't go through all that again, but he was the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People. And look at this. He was alive between 1888 and 1955, born on November the 24th. Was that Scorpio? How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. He wrote How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. He gave that gift to humanity back in the early part of the 20th century. And did we listen? Did everyone read that and stop worrying and start living? No, they did not. In fact, if anything, it got worse. People worry more and started living less. What is going on with us human beings? Yes, so as well as thanking the body this morning, I want a point of order for humanity. Dale Carnegie wrote you a book on how to stop worrying and start living. Did you read it? No, you didn't. I think a lot of gumpers might have or have adopted certain lifestyle strategies that have helped them stop worrying or worry less and start living more. But you look around the world and that is not occurring, is it? Despite these great books as gifts to humanity. I'll try that. Are you going to stop worrying or put ice on your swollen bits? Nunu. Good morning to you, Nunu. Thank you for being here. Good morning, you say. Amazing community. Very nice. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you here. Where did we get to this morning? At 8:49 already. I can't believe it. Okay. We did the God Squad tip of the day, didn't we? So we're up to James now with a bon dia gumpers. Feliz segunda todos. Como está? Do answer him. Don't leave him hanging. Do answer him with at least muito bem, obrigado, contigo. Good morning, people, then, from the Salvation Air Force. He's got a dad joke too. Can I read this? I do need to check first because he can get me into some hot water. Talking of hot water, it's a chemistry joke. I have a joke about chemistry, but I don't think it will get a reaction. Okay, thank you very much. And on that note, you have been busy, haven't you, Salvation Air Force? I've got a lot of tabs open, so to speak, not cigarettes or acid, tabs on the. Can you imagine? Don't. It's all part of the worrying thing. Where is your blog? There it is, right there. Okay. The Ancient Mariner has been busy. Salvation Air Force. Look at this. Over on Medium, the Ancient Mariner has been absolutely prolific with blogging. Did you say you'd written over 30 blogs in the short time you've been here at Salvation Air Force, Ancient Mariner? So it's the Ancient Mariner's blog over there on Medium. And don't let your attention be drawn to artificial intelligence, pornography, and a brave new world. That way danger lies, my friends. The Eastern Algarve in winter is what I'm drawing you to here. Porto's Ribeira district, Portugal's hidden gem. Algarve magic, the Alcaltine blues, loving Lisbon. He's a good writer. Look at this. The titles are works of art in their own right. Storks on the rooftops, fish on the walls. I feel a poem coming on. And he's written a poem, so he's written an epic poem too, which we'll also put on our website. Life can be an absolute beach sometimes. Well, hey! And Metola, medieval Portuguese masterpiece, as well as the curious case of São Bento Station and something fishy going on in Olhão. Some nice connections this morning, talking about per capita. It would be, wouldn't it, with fish? We're per capita fish consumers, some of the greatest in the world here in Portugal, as we found out already. And Portuguese piracy, just a few from his bulging blog there. Thank you very much, Ancient Mariner, for bringing that to our attention. And let me make sure the link to it goes on our website and into the chat this morning, so people can find out a bit more about you. You are a rather enigmatic figure, I would say, gracing our lives with your presence, breezing in one morning. And even though you're in France now, still continuing to contribute with dad jokes like that, and your amazing blog about your experience in Portugal. Now, talking of my survey, I moved to Portugal because I think you're one of those exceptions where you might not move to Portugal because if you want to share that with us as well, Ancient Mariner. That will be interesting. What's this? So thank you very much. Yes, let's move on. Although we will come back to documenting your time in Portugal through your wonderful photographs on our website as well. Well, thank you very much for that. Oh, and you also have published a mug just recently. Is that here? Oh, I know what I need to do. The Brits in Portugal, you've written about us. Bless you. These days, the flames of friendship are kept alight by Colin and Louisa, who jointly produce a daily live stream. So you've written one about us as well. Really appreciate that. Or you put a footnote there to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ancient Mariner. And I want to get to your... Oh, yes. So if I click on the... you say you're a retired biscuit designer. How cool is that? Exploring the European coasts. Is that a true story? Or is that some sort of... pun or euphemism, being a biscuit designer, exploring the European coast and inland waterways he's got a 33-footer, 10 meters of catch, called the Jandar, currently in northern France. And if we have a look at the depth of your blog, as it were. Oh, you've got the Jandar beats working for a living mug. Is that coming up on the screen? Is that what I'm showing now? No, that's opened up in a new window, but you can see it there. Jandar beats working for a living mug. So if you like one of his mugs, I can't read all of that out. That's on there. Glad I didn't go there. Jandar beats working for a living mug. You can find that at the Ancient Mariners blog, which I will put. Oh, it is the ancientmarinersblog.com. So he's very thoughtfully bought the domain and pointed it to his Medium blog there. Very nice, very smart. Excellent. Okay, let's go back to a few more of your comments and some more of your input. Who doesn't like a bit of input first thing in the morning? Up until we reach out and hug. An abrazo for Antonio Barbosa, who's here. Tony Time, the man in the Mino, and our pal in Pontelima joining us as well at 9:30. Mrs. Duck and I both swear by the ice packs. The air turns blue, literally. You can make your own by mixing water and rubbing alcohol. Now, rubbing alcohol sounds like fun, doesn't it? Rubbing alcohol. I didn't know about rubbing alcohol until this morning. I think I'd heard of it, but okay, well, it's really on our agenda now, isn't it? You mix water and rubbing alcohol, about 50-50. You double bag it or seal with a food saver. There you go. Available on eBay after the show. They only freeze to a slushy consistency, which helps them to conform to the body. There you go. And definitely use a towel or you get freezer burn from that. Okay. Very interesting. Now, in the same way that you might use peas and eat the peas afterwards, do you drink the rubbing alcohol, or is that such a terrible idea that I have to issue immediately a public health warning and apologize for my stupidity? Wouldn't be the first time, would it? New survey then. Why did you move to Portugal? That will be at goodmorningportugal.com survey. Let me just refresh that page. Yes, thank you, everybody. Since we've been on air, we only put it out yesterday and we've got into double digits already. I think some people like a simple quiz, don't they? And this is one of them. There's just a handful of tick boxes for you to respond why you chose Portugal. Quality of life is winning at the moment with 80% of you responding, picking quality of life. And in second place, the weather. Really? Yeah, of course, but not right now. Safety and security and the people and culture come in, grabbing 60% of the votes. You can vote for more than one category. For the fish, that was already there. There's always one, isn't there? Food and drink, that would be fish would be in there. But when you open a public survey, you're going to get all sorts of things happening. And because generally there is less... Oh, there is less rubbish thrown on the roads. That's a reason for choosing Portugal. And somebody in your reasons for choosing Portugal survey has, I haven't moved yet, mon ami. Thank you for that. And some other lovely comments as well. Marmite, digestive biscuits and TCP would be nice. Well, that's under the section, is there anything we can do to help you? I can't hand deliver Marmite digestive biscuits and TCP. TCP, that's a kind of rubbing alcohol, isn't it? For the fish, of course, moving to Portugal for the fish. There you go. Thank you very much. Was that you, T-Duck? Bom dia, todos. Todos from João de Norte, who'll be with us at 9:30. Sue's with a bon dia Gumper. Sleep, must sleep. But wait, GMP is on. Oh, please watch Apple and catch up. Don't exhaust yourself. And pourquoi does it have this outrageous French accent? You see, you can even write that. It's so good, isn't it? A bit the old Franglish. Interesting that Ian actually talks about wildlife this morning. Did he? I must have missed that, mentioning the most common owl. Harry Potter did a great deal of damage to them, as owls cannot be trained due to not having a crop. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. And was he talking about owls? Oh, he was talking about tea towels, not owls this morning. Okay. Oh, the most common. I'm with you now, Pete. Yes, thank you. All right. Keep up, Carl. I'm doing my best here. And that's all you can ask for, isn't it? Isn't it, of anybody? So thank you very much, Pete, for your input. Deagle, bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a cold overnight Belfast dropped to -3. Snow due on Thursday and Friday in Belfast. Yikes! And a bon dia from Baddy. Let's help her find that car, preferably automatic. Morning, Corey. This week in Belfast, striking infrastructure workers on 7-day strike are known as gritters and will have a big impact on the cold snap bites. Yikes! That's going to be that will have been a big and probably a deeply thought out decision, because there's a real impact on public safety there, isn't there? So the gritters may be on strike when the snow comes. Solidarity, fighting for better conditions, not weather conditions, working conditions. They're just like a bit more pay and some better working conditions there. Doesn't seem much to ask for in what seem to be our crumbling infrastructures in Western civilization. You've seen those railway lines in Ohio. A friend from Belfast might be a lurker over the next few days. He's going to North Portugal, Porto during the summer. He's looking for tips, things to do and see. And yes, I did put into the, I sent you a message, a personal message on that, Deagle. If anybody wants to ask in the Expats Portugal forum, those sorts of tips, what should I do in Porto? We did cover a few of those actually last night on the wine show that we did. We tasted the gatão, which means like tomcat, the big cat, the big kahuna of cats, gatão. Gato is normally a cat, isn't it? Gatão is the big fella. And we drank the gatão Vinho Verde, and we were talking about trips to Porto, so your friend might like to look at that. And also have a look at the Expats Portugal forum. And you can, of course, join up to the forum free of charge. But if you want to use Expats Portugal services, please use our affiliate link, which I am putting into the chat right now. 67 isn't very old. What's this? Tiago. Thank you, Tiago. Portugal Sun also in this morning. Bon dia, alegria todos. As 2 dias. Found out yesterday our house is officially sold. Wow, good work. That's a plan that's coming together. What a blessing to travel now with that in the back of our minds. The winds of change are filling the sails. And that's the sort of wind you want in your sails, the winds of change, not other kinds of wind, of course. What was he kidding about, I wonder? And Pete, thank you. Have you sent some pictures of you mooning? Quite the Hammer House of Horror, but it is. Pete mooning. I'll see if they are safe for public sharing and broadcast. The survey is coming up in French here. Oh, I see. That's very clever, Google, but probably not what we want. Put the cheese away, Salvation Air Force, and it will come up in English. Stay on dry land. Are they just exchanging a series of nautical observations there? Parabéns, Salvation Air Force. Selling the house must be as nearly as joyful as leaving Cherbourg. Nearly. I think you've got two Gumpers mixed up there. Portugal's Sun has sold the house. Okay. I'm getting into some long grass of you just quipping with each other here. We found out more about Dale Carnegie, and now we're in Monterey Bay in California. Has the same upwelling phenomenon that was mentioned earlier on with the Ugununu this morning, with the same results. The Monterey Bay Canyon is larger and deeper than the Grand Canyon. Who doesn't like a large and deep canyon? First thing in the morning. I eat honey on my peas. Confession time. I've done it all my life. It makes the peas taste funny, but it keeps them on my knife. Is that Spike Milligan? I'll try that. Honey on peas does sound good. Peas are meant to be sweet, aren't they? And there's none sweeter than those freshly grabbed from the pea vine, the pea shoot, and just eaten, like you did when you were a kid. Crack them open and eat that delicious fructose. Oh, stop. Hola. Want to hear a joke about time travel? Never mind. You didn't like it. Very good. Owen's stolen quote of the day. Change your thoughts and change your world. He was alongside those Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, wasn't he? Norman Vincent Peale. Let's just park up the comments. Don't go anywhere, because it's time at 9:01 to welcome Tony. Some Tony time. The man in the media. How are you this morning, Tony? How are you?
Bom dia, Carlito. Hello, everyone.
What's new? What's new?
What's new? Nothing's new. Just
New York, New Jersey.
Não há nada de novo, só no continente. Só no continente.
Very good, very good.
Novidades é no continente, Carlito.
It's lovely to see you. You don't have your Algarve backdrop this morning, my friend. What's going on?
Oh, I didn't know I'd had. I've been meaning to find one to put here in the Nino, and anyway,
No worries.
I'm going rough. I'm going all rough, all naked.
You are au naturel, and that's
all
how
natural.
we roll. That is how we roll up in the north, isn't it? Authentic, vulnerable, lots of nature up there. So not a great deal to report by the sound of it. Although, however, on the other side of things, in the greater real estate market, the government's shaking things up a bit with their proposals. We haven't talked to you about that yet. What's your view on this new malarkey coming from the government about how they're going to make housing a bit easier for Portuguese people?
They're not.
Okay, should we move on?
They're not. It's simple. I mean, a lot of ink's still going to be written. You have a lot of, you got to remember something. The government here is, until any law is passed, it has to go through the Assembly of the Republic, Assembleia.
Yeah.
Okay, and the President of the Republic has to sign that law. Remember that. So there's no matter what politician, it has to get approved. And as of the weekend, even our President of the Republic, which he's a law professor, okay, and he's very big on the Constitution. And he himself said that some of the propositions that they've made are unconstitutional. Yes, it is. So you'll see some changes that'll be happening, but you got to remember something. When people bought property here a few years ago, using, for example, the Golden Visa, with the intention having the AL license, okay, and they were allowed to buy property under those premises from the government. It was allowed. Now it's not. That's a big legal. Some lawsuits were already filed against the government, and they lost the government. So it's a big, things. It's not perfect. It's nowhere near perfect. Especially, we have a problem here, and I think everybody wants to pass the buck. Nobody wants to assume the blame, but the blame is very simple: lack of housing. Okay, and it's supply and demand. That's real estate. Prices go up. Why do prices go up? There's a lot of people that want to move to Portugal. I mean, I've been saying it for more than 20 years, that Portugal will become the 51st state of the United States. Call it the mix of the Florida and California. It's a lot of Americans, a lot of Colombians, a lot of Brazilians, a lot of South Africans, a lot of Turks. A lot of people want to move here. Quality of life, cost of living. And so there's not enough homes for everybody. And rents. Okay, and why is it that we have a problem here that even builders, they don't build to rent? Why? It doesn't make sense, because of the laws that they are. Nobody buys anything or builds like you have in many other countries where the builders, they buy properties or they build to rent. It doesn't happen here. Rents here are very difficult. The prices have gone up extremely in the last couple of years. They will continue in the next 8 to 10 years until we resolve the issue of people having homes for everybody. The prices are not going to go away. The issues are not going to go away. I say, but where is in the world? Where in the world is it unaffordable to live? Where is it? Tell me. If there's an extremely affordable place, maybe you have to move to Kathmandu. I don't even know. You know what I mean? How expensive real estate is there. But I will tell you that in comparison to the rest of the world, it's still affordable living here. And that's why people keep coming, and they will keep coming. And that's a beautiful thing. I love it. So it'll be great times for real estate. It's all about supply and demand, and that's going to dictate the price. It's very simple. When you have a lot of politicians making a lot of noise, but a lot of ink still going to have to written up in the newspapers, Carlito, because it's not going to be going away. A problem that has been a problem even more than 20 years ago. It was already a problem. So they kind of put Band-Aids on it. It was never resolved. And until it resolves to the core issue, and you know what the core issue is that it's the low of wages. People can't afford homes here. That's the key issue. That's the underlying, when the wages are a comparison to what people can afford, then you're going to have some changes. Right now, in terms of inflation, in terms of home values, what they've gone up, the salaries have not gone up in line with those raises, right? So there's a problem, and that's always been the problem here for Portugal is the low wages. You could see that anywhere, and anybody will tell you. Anybody in real estate that knows real estate will tell you the same thing. That is the issue here: supply and demand, low wages. People can't afford homes. Can the foreigners afford homes? Yes, but they're not the problem. The foreigners are not the problem. You have a lot of issues sometimes because well, they don't want them to buy in Lisbon or Porto, because of the golden visa. Golden visa represented about less than 2% of what actually in real estate values, Carl. I don't know if anybody has an idea. That's nothing. That's like a drop in the ocean. And only 6% of foreigners, 6% bought properties last year. So 94% of were Portuguese buyers. So it's not a big, foreigners are not yet, but they will be more. Those numbers will be more, but for now. And so that's an issue the government has to realize. And, until it passes to the president of the republic, where it signs into a law, everything else is just talk. It's talk. A lot of ink, a lot of, what that does for me, Carlito, is it scares away investors, foreign investors.
This is the problem. This is the problem, isn't it?
The problem for me.
Yeah. And that's what we want to put right in some small way if we can, because people's confidence has been a little bit knocked. It's causing people to think twice. And I love your analysis. I will clip it from the show and publish it separately, if I may, because I think it's an excellent analysis. A lot of these proposals are being spoken about as though they've already passed. And as you say, the ink hasn't been written, let alone dried yet. There's a whole process. And it's some political game playing. Now, one thing that stood out from what you were saying there, and broadly, I'm in agreement with you with what you say. I think your analysis is excellent. But this thing about what would really change the game here is putting people's wages up for the Portuguese, right? The government aren't going to be behind that. They'll talk about it, won't they? But I suppose if the government employs so many people, they're not going to be putting wages up, are they?
The government employs so many people. The government has so many empty homes. Did you know that? They're the owners.
Well, they want to pass. Yes.
They want to pass a law that anybody that has a vacant home, the government will be allowed. Well, then I guess the government will be having a lot of homes for sale. Oh, not for sale, for rent. That's for sure. So the government is the biggest real estate holder, probably, of vacant homes. Homes. Okay.
Yes.
And so.
What they could do, I suppose, they could raise more money by fining themselves for not renting those homes out, couldn't they?
Listen, Carlito, I love Portugal. Portugal is for me is the Alice of Wonderland. I feel like Alice. I'm in Wonderland. I mean, anybody that doesn't like Portugal, get the hell out. It's not for you. Serious. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Portugal is the best country to live, the quality of life, cost of living, everything. But it's not for everybody, and you're not going to change it. Remember, we talked about this. You're not going to change Portugal, but Portugal may change you.
Yes.
We have issues here, social issues. We have lots of other issues. What country doesn't? What place in the world doesn't? We have our own. We're dealing with them, but except that it's been things that for more than 20 years have been passed under the rug. And it's about time that it's being faced. And that's what we're trying to do, I guess, as a nation, just get up from that, because everything else is in the right direction. And that's why people are moving here and attracting. So you don't want to ruin that. Okay. You don't want to ruin that. You don't want to go back to 2012. I'm not sure if you were here, but, government was bankrupt, didn't have money to pay. What happens if they didn't have money to pay the government people that working for the government? Where are they going to be working? Or the doctors or the teachers or this or that. And so, the government created these tools for people to come and invest, live here. Even, some say that, the foreigners have a tax break of 10 years. That's not true. Portuguese people do too. If they live outside of Portugal more than 5 years, they can come back to Portugal and be in the same circumstance of not paying tax for 10 years. Not too many people know about this, but Portuguese people have the same rights as any foreigner. Foreigners here are invited because you know what? They help spend on the economy, everything that goes around. And I welcome them. I love foreigners. I'm a foreigner myself. And if you're unhappy, if you're Portuguese, you're unhappy, or anybody listening, get out. We don't need you. Get out. It's as simple as that. And that's what it is. And people gotta learn that, there's you gotta find your place. You got to call home. It's not perfect, but it's perfect for me. It's perfect for many people. Don't come try to change our political system or our radicals. You can have your opinions and etc. The only way you could change it is when you vote. If you don't vote, and if you're not a permanent resident here, and you are a permanent resident, you're voting, then shame on you. You have one when you can make your choices when you vote, and that's when the only thing is that everything else is perfect, and you deal with it because it's not perfect anywhere, Carl. It really isn't. And that's what I love about Portugal, is because you have these challenges, and like any other growing democracy, we've been a democracy since '75, right? So it's still a young democracy, learning from the mistakes, corruption, learning from corruption.
Yeah.
And so
Well, you're right. I mean, it's a society, and no society is without its challenges. Lots of excellent comments coming in. On that matter, of course, is the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution next year. So how do you feel about that, and what would you like to see? And I will be asking this question of more people. What I'm trying to do is get together. You'd be great on this panel if you've got time to do it. But I want to, you talked about, foreigners. You love foreigners coming to Portugal. Turns out, did you just see what I saw? John H is already limbering up behind the scenes. He's got a backdrop of, go back where you were, John, because we can see you walking across the bridge on the green screen. Look, he's going to cross the green. That's superb. Wow. It's a movie, like a superhero movie. The Hulk is present in Pontelima. So thank you, John. We'll see you at 9:30. That was brilliant. It caught my eye there. Yeah, foreigners coming to Portugal. 1 in 10 people, close on 1 in 10 is a foreigner. We have this incredible opportunity here, don't we? I mean, that is how it is now, that there almost 1 in 10 people have come from somewhere else. It's a very rich, diverse immigrant population. And that, on the one hand, that can cause understandable concern for Portuguese people. And what I would hope is that would be seen as an asset, that what people are bringing with them, they're not least their wealth and their contribution to the country, but ideas, and getting behind these wonderful things that we love about Portugal, celebrating those together. And what an incredible formula that could be for the continued success of Portugal for the next 50 years, beyond the 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution. How would you see Portugal in 2074? And maybe you will be on this expat thought leader panel of ours discussing that question. But what's your personal view this morning on that, Tony?
I think there's going to be another revolution here in Portugal. That's my
You do? Seriously?
Yeah, seriously, because it has to do a revolution when you revolutionize, not maybe guns or anything, but you have to change the political system here, the way it's done things. You have countries outside of that are examples, like in the Nordic countries. How many politicians do they have? What they get paid? It's none of them want it. You know what I mean? They don't even get paid a lot. Here, they have a lot of rewards for being a politician, and there's a lot of Tichinhos, you know what I mean? Like, the little cousin or they're put in this place and this place. Look at the stuff that's going on with TAP. You know what I mean? Like an airline that's costing the taxpayer billions of euros, billions. Okay, bailouts of banks, billions to the taxpayer. All that money, if it wasn't used for those things, we would be in a much better place. So there has to be revolutionized the way the banking system here, the political system here, and that's will be the new revolution in Portugal. That's just my opinion, because things have got to change. Like at the time they had to change, and they did it peacefully. We're going to do it peacefully. Portugal is a peaceful country.
I'm with you.
Wow. We're not going to see us in wars or guns or rolling down and and killing the prime minister or executing the king. That was centuries ago.
That's the old days. We're beyond that now, aren't we? Hopefully.
Yeah, we are, and but people are resilient. The Portuguese people, that's what it is. They're resilient, but they're resilient up to a certain point, you know. But at the same time, when people's attitudes and mentalities, and this is a thing. I mean, when you talk about immigration, there's I think immigration is great. You know why? Because the immigrants that are coming in are doing the jobs that the Portuguese people don't want to do. They don't want to work in hotels. They don't want to work in factories. Portugal has, over the last 20 years, and this is a society in general, we've created a society that people are working. Everybody's a social influence. Everybody, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants to get the job done. Everybody wants to be a star on internet or something. And I think what happens is you need the people that are going to do manual labor, work at the hotels. We need, how many times you go into a restaurant or hotel and their lack of staff, right? So you see somebody working from Brazil or from the Ukraine or from Bangladesh or from India, etc. You don't see Portuguese people working. That's what's happening.
Yes,
because
it is.
Portugal raised in the last 2 decades here a bunch of doctors and engineers. And okay, schooling is great, but not now. People, the government is saying, you know what, they give too much. The socialism has to change a little bit. You can't give everybody everything. People have to go work for. That's the way I see it. And so there's got to be a little bit of changes in that, and it will. Because you know what?
They do, Tony, don't they? I mean, you like, it's a great example you give there, actually. One of my early recollections was being in a family restaurant in Nazaré. And we were talking to the young lady serving us. And it turns out she's the daughter. The grandma's cooking, the parents own and run the restaurant, and the daughter's working in there. But only for a little while, because she's a law student, being well educated in the way that people want in this country. But what does she do when she becomes trained as a legal graduate? She leaves the country, and there's a problem with that, isn't there? There's a problem with that. It's great to train people and educate people, but if they leave because there's no opportunity for them in their own country, that's a little bit of a shot in the foot, isn't it?
Yeah, do like Cuba. They don't let the doctors or lawyers or engineers leave. You have to stay there. They give you the free education. You have to live there all your life. I'm not saying become a Cuba. You know what I mean? But there's got to be. It's free, right? Education is free. Maybe they should have to spend the first 5 years here. I don't know. After they graduate, they should not be recruited. The best doctors, nurses, lawyers, everything. They're recruited right at a university level. No, maybe they should spend time here 2 years to give back to somebody else. What they've learned, you know what I mean, before they can go on, then they can go on, because free education it does have a price, and it should be that, like we're educating them, but then they're going to be leaving. We're educating the best financial advisors. We have some great schools. Did you know this? And that's why they get recruited the best. But we have to get out from the stigma that immigration is bad. I love immigration because, I mean, even myself, when I immigrated to the United States, we were immigrants, and like many other people, many Americans are leaving there now. But you know how many people are going to be wanting to go to the United States? The ones that want to leave. The United States doesn't need you anyway. It didn't need me. I'm happy here. You know what I mean? And so the people that want to go there, they're going to want to contribute their immigration. That's how it is. Look at the UK. You have how many foreigners there, that move there as well, right, Carlito? And that's what it is. It's because they're going to be doing things that nobody else wants to do. No doctors or engineers. They're not going to, you're going to go to a Starbucks cup of coffee. One day it'll be surprised. Hey, I have a doctor or a lawyer that's serving me a Starbucks coffee, when they're able to get paid X amount of money. And that's the truth, and I think that's the revolution that I feel that what's needed here in Portugal is just that people to get over the bureaucracy level, the political structure, that it's just too many politicians. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians, right? That's an expression.
Often the way in management, isn't it? And public institutions, yes, because I guess they promote and give themselves pay rises. The middle managers.
Running a government is just like running a business. You have to run it. Okay, you have to have loss. You have losses, and if you're running a company and you have losses, you're fired. Okay, you don't have a chance to go back on votes. You're fired, right? And so it's about losses and gains, and you got to look at it. And they're rewarded for the gains that they have. Here, even if a company like TAP has losses, the CEOs and everybody, they're rewarded. How does that work? I mean, I don't understand. And so now it's going. I mean, these are things that we're sick. I am tired of them. Everybody's tired, and that's the truth, Carly. And those are the changes that need to get done in real deep into raising the wages for everybody, the salaries, to make it competable, so you can compete with other European nations, right? So then that way. Yeah, and get people that are getting that that social paycheck that they're sitting on their ass on their on their sofa. I'm not sure if I can say ASS, but
too late. You did it.
Okay, but they're sitting on the couch and they're not really doing anything or helping promoting the the well-being of society. They're not contributing. They're not paying taxes. They're, and they're receiving a paycheck. Get them out to work to clean the mountains or the streets or something. I don't even know.
Get them to clean the mountains.
Okay,
So
we didn't have, years ago when before, and this is stories. I mean, anybody. I mean, this is not from my time. I wasn't even born at that time. But in times before, we had the 75th of April. People were happy in the sense where many things this didn't happen. And even Salazar said himself, this will become a country. He died poor. He didn't, believe it or not, like all the politicians. And I think, man, how did you get to accumulate X amount of wealth over a period of time? I haven't done it. And I work my butt off every single day. And I work my butt off every single day. And I have for since I was 14 years old. And I have not accumulated millions and millions in offshore accounts. How do they do it? How do they live what they do? So maybe I'm in the wrong business. We are in the wrong business. I got to get in there.
Now you mention it. Now I feel a bit naughty talking about revolution, but I think the kind you're speaking of is that it's absolutely spot on. What a brilliant premise this morning, and what fantastic ideas you're bringing to us this morning. Do let us know what you think in the chat, folks. About it's a full-on Tony time this morning with Antonio Barbosa and Infinite Solutions. Yes, on the matter of golden visas, if anybody does still want to get in there before the door shuts, if it shuts, Tony's your man to speak to. Tony and I know a fantastic colleague by the name of Michael Maxwell, right? He's a great guy. If anyone wants to skinch in just in that last part of the golden days of the golden visa, get in touch with Antonio and have a chat with Michael, because he's one of the best in the business. There are a lot of great people doing that scheme, and a lot of interesting ways of going about it. I do really like the way Michael goes about it. So if you're in, do you want to add anything to that, Antonio, about Michael and his how he goes about the golden visa?
Well, he's like myself. He's a lover of Portugal as well. Okay, so and he knows that the company. Well, and I feel the company he works behind and the board of directors. It's all about the people behind the structure of any company, right? That does this.
Yes.
And their philosophy. And when they're involved with some of the best, the elite builders. Okay, when they cherry pick properties into their property funds, Carl, there's some builders, some phenomenal buildings and properties that they cherry pick from. And that's what you want, because then that's what's going to grow the portfolios. And they have it spot on. And that's it. For me, it took me a while to get trust for someone like them. And that's what it's about. And, some changes will be done. But even if it's not golden visa, you could still invest in the real estate property market, in the prime real estate market, like per se. If you don't want to own outright a building of €1 million, an apartment of €1 million, own a fraction of it that you're going to have returns, because it's going to be rented out. Okay, guaranteed. It's going to get sold. So after the fund is fully mature, you're going to be able to get your investment not only on a yearly payment, but also a lump sum payout. So and there's a minimum investment of €50,000. 500,000 is for the golden visa. Okay, but you don't have, anybody can invest any amount, minimum €50,000. It's just like investing in a piece of land and buying it and holding it there. That's the same way. And you're investing in the prime real estate, cherry pick properties that are cherry picked. And so they know what they're doing, and the whole corporate structure, the board, I know them, and some of the builders, even the Moreno with Stone Capital and other builders that are phenomenal. It's you have to see that behind what properties are in the portfolio and the buildings, and that's what the key is.
Tony, please put your details in the private chat so that I can put them on the screen so that people can get in touch with you, or extend your name badge on the screen to include that detail. John will be joining us in about 5 minutes. Let's say a few more hellos and see the responses to Tony's on fire this morning with his ideas for the next Portuguese revolution. Hope you feel better soon, Nubianette. You're here this morning. Pete sending you love. Sinus issues are truly horrid. Vix and loads of eucalyptus are great. Yes, a good reason to come to Portugal. Isopropyl rubbing alcohol is isopropyl alcohol. I'm learning about rubbing alcohol. We prefer to drink it, don't we, Tony, than rub it, I think. But that's not a bad second best. Antonio F is here. Bon dia todos. Thank you for being here. And, oh, yeah, there you go. There's Tony's details. They're very straightforward. I'm putting those into the chat now. Antonio10k.com. Excellent stuff. That's into the chat if you want to get in touch with Antonio or Michael about the golden visa there. Fabulous. Thank you very much for your lovely comments that are coming in and continue to come in, and weather reports I'm seeing here. Does anyone know about the Harry Potter bookshop? That's the Lello. Libreria Lello, isn't it? I think in Porto. Has anyone got a picture of that they want to send, and we can stick that on the screen? Never been there, says Antonio F, but it looks beautiful in pictures. You pay €5 to enter, but you can use it to buy something there. That's a good idea, isn't it? You can claim it back on a book purchase. Libreria Lello is that place. Wow. Okay, so T-Duck, this is where you can find out mysteries that have been around since your childhood. I'm pretty sure that was Spike Milligan who came up with the Peas and Honey poem. And we were talking about Norman Vincent Peale. Power of Positive Thinking was an early book on my path. Tell us more. Anyone who's got one of those monumental, seminal books in their personal development, pop those into the chat as well. They may be useful to other people as well. I'm a pretty good sleeper now, but I'm a little sick, so I woke up. I won't go to work, so I have nothing to worry about. Well, have a nice day off. Thailand, responding to what you were saying earlier on about places being expensive and inexpensive. Thailand is very inexpensive, of course. All of this is relative to what you have. Absolutely. João de Norte, I'm from the US, but please don't come here with old baggage. Start fresh, start new, be your best self. Yay! Very good. It's not where you live. And this is a paraphrase of the earlier comment, I think, wasn't it? From Dale Carnegie. It's not where you live, it's how you live. And who else is there that's with you that matters? Thank you very much for that. Simon's in as well. Bon dia todos. No place is the best for everybody. Again, resonating with what you were saying there, Tony. The question is this the best place for me? We have a vacant home tax in Vancouver. Got a bill for this house. If vacant, pay $8,000. Yikes. And report before due date showing it is not currently vacant. That's one way of doing it in Portugal, isn't it? Is to tax empty houses, perhaps. It's not paying taxes. This is the NHR, the tax break that you were referring to. It's a reduction of taxes on certain types of income. That's good clarification. Olá, Antonio, from Simon. Uma manhã fina e fresca para você. My first visit was in 2012. And remember, the lawns in the suburbs were overgrown, was still amazing, but I'm amazed how much had changed by the time I visited again in 2019. Imperfection is beautiful. Would you agree with that, Tony? Imperfection is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
I'm imperfect, but I'm perfect.
I can't believe that. Perfectly imperfect. Antonio Barbosa with us this morning.
Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree.
Short visit to the show today from Matty. Got to go. Have fun and keep healthy. Thank you, Matty. In my opinion, my humble opinion, Portugal is head and shoulders above other European countries in terms of cost of living, lifestyle, culture, and overall welcome. However, the Portuguese government is missing a trick due to the impenetrable bureaucracy. No one likes impenetrable first thing in the morning. And despite the relatively low cost of the D7 visa, the immense overhead of paperwork and protocol. Would you agree, Tony?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Not paying tax.
Spot on.
Thank you. Even with the NHR, you still pay tax, but the tax is max 20% on your income, and other taxes are unchanged. Thank you. Smash that like button. And it appears to me that as a holiday destination or as a new home, Portugal is unrivaled. The problem is the bit in between. Interesting. Thank you for that. Portugal could absolutely clean up in the retirement sweepstakes if only the procedure for immigration was more straightforward. Not cheaper, not easier, just more predictable. Wise words, right? The experiences Luisa and Veronica have had with importing vehicles and switching licenses are enough to put many people off. Oh, yes. Don't import vehicles unless you're really sentimentally attached. Veritable rabbit hole of tangled and poorly explained paperwork. Excellent analysis. Where else can you get this level of information? Certainly not in the news. Yes, that's to you, Tony. Set the bar, adhere to it consistently across the board, spread the word, and wait for the silver dollars to roll in. I often think of becoming a barista in Porto, learning the language and meeting new people every day. Don't want to have a glamorous career, but promote the country and immerse myself in the culture. There you go. I'd love for Portugal to emulate the competent government public service mentality of Norway. Would that be the right hybrid? Would you agree, Tony?
Without a doubt. That's why I said Scandinavian countries, Norway, Denmark, they have this philosophy of politicians that they very little, and they get paid very little, but what they do, it's a job. They go to work, there's no, and so definitely it would be, they need to go there for 6 months or a year and do a internship to learn how it's done.
Well, there you go. I would love to. And if we give them Norwegian food and all expenses paid holiday in Norway, politicians would like that sort of thing, wouldn't they? I think I would love. I'd love to see the actual statistics of Portuguese people not working by choice, sitting on their couches and living off the government larder. It's a divisive argument.
Look on the there's nobody even cares about this. Everybody likes to talk. You want statistics? Look at INE.pt. Did you know that? It's the Institute of National Statistics. INE.pt. You want to know about statistics about years ago, about the rents, about this, about that, unemployment. INE.pt.
But nobody's going to say, I love sitting on my sofa, are they, in a survey? I don't think. I get your point, James. I get Tony's as well. It's not the first person I've heard saying that. Portuguese people have asked, when you talk to the taxi drivers and the barbers and so on, these are the sort of sentiments you hear that are complete shock to me in my early time here. So we've got a name for this revolution. We're moving on from the carnation revolution into the competency revolution. It's not very, I think it sums up what we want, but it's not very sexy. I think we can maybe improve a little bit on that. But that's a great start there, John, and you can talk about that when you join us in just a moment. There's Antonio's details if you want to get in touch. Tony, do stay. I mean, I know you've got things to do, but it would be lovely to have a little bit of a crossover with our pal from Ponte Lima and you, the man in the Minho. Let's have some Spike Milligan quotations. Money can't buy you happiness, but it does bring you a more pleasant form of misery. Yes, well said. I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to be there when it happens. Also, Spike Milligan. And the citizens' connection with the land provide power and self-determination. Well, there's another part of what could happen. We've got all that interior, so much kerfuffle and noise about the Marginal, the Silver Coast, the Algarve, Porto and Lisbon. What about all that other land, the powerhouse, the true powerhouse of Portugal, right? Where people could be encouraged to work in a way that they want to, creating food, growing food, living out in the countryside, enjoying a fantastic life. That's been part of the problems of our modern economy, have made that quite impossible for people. So that could be another area that the revolution of competency could look at. What do you think about that, Tony? It's a shame, isn't it, that central Portugal has been, socially desertified.
I keep saying in many posts, Mr. Prime Minister, you need to get out of Lisbon and politicians and come visit Viseu or Guarda, Paris de Coura and the Minho, Ponte de Lima and interiors. There's so many interior villages that there's a lot to do. They're uninhabited. People go to the bigger cities, but there's a lot of quality of life. And that's where I think the focus should be. Lisbon and Porto has done its work over the last few years, and even the coastal areas, but that's never going to go away because that's where people are buying. I mean, so that's where but if you go interior wise, you're going to see some beautiful quality properties to buy at an affordable price, and the quality of life that goes with it. Carl, I mean, even from the Silver Coast, if you go, to Constanza, even interior wise, and they're beautiful little villages, right? And all along in those settings, and but definitely the interior part of Portugal. There's so much room for everybody. I don't know, like everybody's sometimes worried about, we don't want other people coming in. You know what? There's plenty of room for everybody. We're a small but big country. There's so much room, so much territory to cover that it's enough to have everybody to come in. And, and I think for the next 20, 30 years, it'll be my pleasure to welcome you here.
Yes, nicely done. The fork and spade revolution. We're liking that. And João de Norte says, and let's bring him on to talk about this himself. Morning, John. We've got a man in the Minho, and now we've got a pal in Ponte.
Yeah.
I think you've enjoyed this morning so far, John, but you don't want Portugal to become the 51st state. Oh, hold on a minute. Let's have a look at that T-shirt. Can you show us that again, please? What do you call a person who is happy on Mondays? Retired. Yeah, all right. Very good. Oh, hold on a minute. I took you off the screen with that comment rather than bringing you back to size there. And thank you for walking across that fabulous bridge this morning. That was hilarious earlier on. Not the 51st state then, John. You don't like that idea? Oh, he's going across the bridge.
No, it's not.
Look at that. You're getting your feet wet, John. He's down there with the Roman centurions, isn't he? Right, the bridge there. Amazing.
I have to work on that.
So not the 51st state. You have a different way of putting it.
Oh, heavens no. Please no.
Why not? Why is that?
America has enough problems than to bring them here.
Okay, you're right. But yeah, maybe we shouldn't get too deeply into that. But a right to reply, Antonio. I don't think you mean the 51st state of American problems, right? You just mean a lot of Americans loving
everybody. I think everybody understands that. I think it's a cross between what it actually is a problem in the U.S., in Florida and California, in the U.S., where the 51st state has to do with Florida is predominantly a retirement area, a retirement state, and lower just the sun, the quality of life. And that's where most people, when they get to retirement, they move there. Well, you know what? Portugal can offer that to the retirees at a much lower cost. And that's what I mean by that. The problem, we have our own problems, but you're not going to change them. So don't bring them here. That's for sure. We have our own.
Excellent. Well, that was quickly sorted out.
I did put a however on there. Yeah.
There it is. What's this then, John?
Well, if we had the competence of a Scandinavian governance with the beautiful, wonderful culture and climate of Portugal, that might be too much of a good thing.
Serious immigration problem. However, another however here, Norway taxes are 50 to 45%. They are in Portugal, aren't they? Once you add it all up, I think Portuguese taxes are as high as Norway. Norway just asked for it in a clearer way, right?
Yeah, the taxes here aren't that much different than they are in Norway. If you make over 75,000 euros here in Portugal, I think your tax rate is 46%.
Yeah. So it just needs to be used better. I think we can all agree on some better systems and some the transparency. What's that? And John, you were calling it the revolution. Am I right in thinking your translation was the revolution of competency? Is that right?
Revolución de competencia.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from red flowers and into some ways of working that are a little bit more efficient.
Just have a bunch of people walking around in good suits and cravats and ties and nice skirts and pants and whatever looks smart.
Yeah. Okay, very good. That's the beginning. It's a uniform to go with this revolution then, by the sound of it. Very good. Another Spike Milligan quote before we move away from those. It was a perfect marriage. She didn't want to and he couldn't. What a genius Spike Milligan was. Suze is off. Sleep well, Suze. Thank you for being us in the time that you were here. I think we should have another look at your house, John, because I know that Antonio likes a bit of real estate, of course. And this is the new home in Ponte Lima. This is what you can get in Ponte Lima. This is sort of a wonderful property, I'm sure, that Tony here can introduce you to. Let me find it here. I still don't know if we've got the sound on this, but you're going to see some beautiful visuals now. About 30 seconds of John.
Yeah, turn the mute off. Yeah, take the mute off that video.
Well, it should just play with the sound. Let's see. No, it's still quiet. But it tells you what a lovely peaceful view you have in Ponte Lima.
Now picture that same yard with a magnolia tree in the back left, maybe an azavino holly tree in the back right.
Yeah, beautiful.
Some orange, some limao, some cherry blossoms.
Is this the plan, John? You've talked to your landscape gardener, have you? Or you're becoming a landscape gardener yourself? What's going on?
So that's another. What's cool up north is Fernando Martins and his wife. Simero. So they came over to help consult, and so did the whole planning out of the garden and where the different flowers are going to go, the wisteria and the bougainvillea and the rhododendrons and the like, and to figure out what palms maybe to purchase that don't grow too high.
Yeah.
A place to plant an olive tree that they grow very slow, and of course they take well to pruning. So have a place picked out for that. Maybe some bamboo along the western wall as well. But
he's not going to be retired for much longer then at this rate, is he, Tony?
I have to get my gardening tools. I haven't yet bought a shovel or a rake or a hoe and all of that. So that's one of the chores, but not immediately. But
all is well by the sound of it. You have hit the ground. Well, you've hit the ground gardening. rather
Yeah.
than living here. Antonio, he's our man. Sorry.
Planting.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio is our man in the Minho, singing the praises of the north of Portugal. And here we have John, Antonio, who is living proof of how wonderful it is. This man, he's only been here a few, weeks really, and he's living his best life. This is exactly, he's like a poster boy for what you recommend in Portugal, right?
Absolutely. Checks in the mail, John.
It gets even better. Talking about corruption earlier on. So it's safe to say that you are happy, John, with this choice of Pontelima, as we can see beautifully in the picture behind you.
Yeah, quite happy.
Oh,
just taking things a step at a time. So don't want to get too overwhelmed with things. That's probably the danger, is to do too much too quick.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be very mindful of, taking days off and not trying to fill every day with doing something. It seems it's very easy to keep busy here, and much more so than where we were back in Colorado. So much easier to make friends and to socialize, and I love that. But the calendar gets very busy very quick. Like I have this morning at 11 o'clock. Fernando's coming over at 11 o'clock, so we're gonna measure out the irrigation system, and then at 2 o'clock we have a language club meeting up north. So today is a pretty full day. Also, we have a new Pingo in town. So after language club, Owen and I and Pam are going to go to the Pingo because it's today's opening day at Pingo.
Living the dream at Pingo. Amazing. Now, what would you say about this, Tony? Because it's very much a first world problem. There's no question about that. But stress is stress. And sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming when you first get here. What's your advice to new arrivals about how to... I will come back to you for your personal view on this, John. But what do you do when you're welcoming people new into the country? As I'm sure you do, Tony, when you've sold them a lovely property and they've settled in the north of Portugal.
Just like John says, go slow. Because it can be overwhelming. But if you have like John has a community around, living in a community, if you're living in a city as well, you can have people that in the building, etc. But having the community there, trying to learn a little bit of the language, even if you're not. See, Portuguese people, you got to remember something. We're very warm and welcoming, and we can either love you or hate you, and we could do both at the same time, like anybody else. And so, but people are very warm and welcoming, so they want to help you. They know, you know what I mean? Like, so they'll even bring you some eggs or some bread or something, housewarming gift or anything. And especially like I remember just even when the last couple says, Tony, I can't believe my neighbors they left me this on the doorstep. They left me this. And I said, I don't know who it is. It says, don't worry, you'll find out. The people will go there but at the same time, just go slow because you remember you're in a small little neighborhood. Get to know people. Sometimes people love to talk and so just go slow, as John says, really. And because you're around so many great people, and I think before you do that, you have looked extensively where you want to live. And I had clients, and that's here's a suggestion. What I had clients before they bought the home, they spent a day in the home, and I had the property owner says, get out, go. They want to walk around, get to know the neighbors in the house, come in and out, like spend a day first, like a test drive. You know what I mean? To get to know who the neighbors are and everything.
Great idea.
Yeah, before buying and settling down, get to know your neighbors, get to know your community. The house may have all your ticks and tick all your boxes and be the perfect fit for you. But what about what's around? And we know, but don't take my word for it or anybody else's. Spend a day there. Go in the morning, afternoon, lunch, dinner. Get to know the people, knock on the doors, ask questions, and I think that'll eliminate because some of the issues are that I didn't know I had a loud barking dog. You know what I mean? That dog wasn't there when I saw the house. Well, you should have gone there a few times. I mean, and visited it.
Go on, John. Did you do that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for us, an important thing was to visit our local grocery store. And that was a very good decision because, we got to meet our neighbors through that. The grocery store started taking some of our mail. So you're making that that personal connection. And
in a good way, John.
Yeah,
they started taking your mail in a good way. They did.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been maybe more just business-like or whatever, but because they were so warm and welcoming, that gave me an authentic impression of the nature of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbor is the owner's son.
Brilliant. Yes. So you're properly embedded, aren't you? Another question for Tony then. What is it about Portuguese people in supermarkets? Pingo Doce is already a madhouse, packed almost beyond the limits of the parking lot. When the new Mercadona opened up in Caldas de Rainha, the same thing happened. What? I mean, Portuguese people have got loads of supermarkets. You said it's a small country and it's a big country. It's a very small country in terms of population and population density. But as soon as a supermarket opens, it's like half the Portuguese turn up to see what it's like. Why is that, Tony?
It's new.
I think they give coffee away. I don't know.
Okay,
They must be giving something away. I don't. It really is. And Pingo Doce. It's been a long time. We actually hear the first ones. I think the biggest one to open up in Ponta de Lima was Continente, of course. Continente, and then Intermarchés, and then all the brands that go along with it, Lidl's, and that's just another one that's missing there. So it's another puzzle. It's another piece to the puzzle. I don't know why, but it is that
but
people
good for
just
infrastructure. Good for infrastructure. If you're thinking of the north of Portugal,
jobs, Carl,
and jobs as well. Very good. Yep, superb. Okay, and
speaking of the grocery stores, though, even though there are the big markets, it's surprising to me how many little small mom and pop stores there are. It's like every little neighborhood has one, and they seem to be doing decent business. So
hope so.
It's strange how you have both the big grocery stores and such a plethora of small ones.
Well, the mom and pop stores go and buy the stuff from Lidl, don't they? And then sell it in the neighborhood maybe as well. So they might get a few bargains at Pingo Doce as well. And we asked about the Livraria Lelo. I don't know if that's an internet picture or Owen's own picture. And you sent some as well, John. It was crazy when you went there, right? It looks like the opening of a supermarket.
Yeah. This was a typical day in June.
And that is Livraria Lelo, is it? That's Harry Potter.
That's the line to get in.
Wow. Okay. €5, not putting anybody off there, and you can recoup that against the price of a book there. Okay, I'm going to hang out a bit more with John. Tony, you probably got viewings and all sorts to do this morning. You can ask him for dinner, but don't ask him to work. Final thoughts from you, because you've been amazing this morning talking about the revolution in Portugal. I feel a bit naughty doing that, and who knows? Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow, and I won't be locked up for inspiring and sparking a revolution here in Portugal as we head towards the 100th anniversary of 1974. What are your final words there, then, Tony?
Final words, just don't come if you don't want to fall in love.
Simple as. So notwithstanding these challenges that you so brilliantly analysed and dealt with this morning, don't come here if you don't want to fall in love. And the other thing you say, which I think is wonderful, is you won't be able to change Portugal, but Portugal may well change you, right? Have I got that right?
That's correct. You're not going to change Portugal. But if you're lucky enough and you open yourself up to it, Portugal may change you. And that's what John was talking about. The people, the warmth of the people. Leave your crap at home. Don't bring it here. We already have our own.
Crap at home as well. Fantastic.
And stuff and all the issues and stuff. You don't need that.
We don't need that. Bring your luggage, not your baggage. Thank you, Tony. See you again next month. If not in the meantime.
Bye, John.
Have a great day. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.
See you, Tony. Bye.
There he goes. Another round of applause for that man. Okay. Talking of luggage and baggage, this Portugal Sun is ready. That's a really well-packed load of stuff, isn't it? That's nicely done. And you'll be able to see what's yours at the airport with that. Fine blue suitcase. And I'm thinking that looks to me like all luggage and no baggage right there. Beautifully done and ready to roll within the next few days. That's fantastic. John, lovely picture behind you. That is where you live. We are following how you're settling in, basically. All seems to be going well. There is this important matter of pacing yourself and not getting too exhausted with the social world. Any other observations that you're bringing to us this morning?
Not really. Caught me off guard.
You're just too relaxed, John. That's part of being in Ponte Lima, isn't it?
If anybody's wondering, that that's the old Roman bridge in town, and that's looking actually from Puente Lima to the north across the bridge, and it's part of the Camino de Santiago to walk across that bridge and past that particularly lovely chapel over there.
It looks beautiful. Is that your own photograph?
No, that's from the internet.
Oh, I see. Well, thanks to whoever took that. Great job, Tony. Excellent analysis, says Thunder Duck. Grocery shopping tip, 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Maybe you should wait, John, and go to the new Pingados 8 a.m. Is it going to be open, though, in Ponte Lima at 8 a.m.? I'm thinking it might be a 9 a.m. opening in Ponte Lima. And Salvation Air Force thinks Continent could expand across Europe. It's a really great brand. We do have a good selection, as Tony said there, of supermarkets. Well, as a newcomer, what's your favorite and why, John?
Well, Continent so far, because it's the closest one to us. Well, that's hard to say. Intermarché has the best cafeteria. Tip of the day especially for newcomers. As you know, dinner doesn't start till typically 7 or 8 o'clock as far as restaurants opening and things like that. And sometimes your stomach doesn't want to wait that long, and you might feel a bit hungry at 6 or 5. Well, if you go to the Intermarché cafeteria, you can get a wonderful meal, 4.5 euros, fried chicken or pork chops, rice or potatoes, green beans or spinach or whatever. And my goodness, they give you enough to feed 3 people. So for 4.5 euros, you had your meal there plus 2 more take-home leftovers. So
hold on. And then do you eat dinner after that, John?
No, that was just, we were just feeling particularly peckish that evening. And
right. But it is a thing. It's definitely a thing here in Portugal, isn't it? If your body clock is attuned to a somewhat earlier dinner in the evening, it can be rumbling, can't it, by around the time you mentioned there. And you might not be able to wait until 9 o'clock where some of the Portuguese are going out for dinner, right?
Well, we were the only Westerners in the place, so there was a line. There was a line, and it was all locals get their dinner early. So yes, they might typically have dinner later on, but there's certainly quite a lot that do like to eat around 6 too.
Yes, yeah, okay. Maybe they go out again later on in the evening. I think they do. On a hard day's work, it's
late lunch.
Have you noticed that? I mean, quite a lot of refilling does seem to go on, doesn't it, in Portuguese culture? So you can go and have a nice little midi meal at Intermarché at any time of the day whilst they're open. But you'll be able to pick up a little salty snack as well around the place, mightn't you, whilst you're having your coffee? I love that Portuguese grazing style.
Yeah, and you were asking about the the favorite markets. So I do hold out some. I'm curiosity for Pingados because of my experience with you, Carl, with the
frozen pie. Will you be asking for the frozen pie?
So frozen pie, despite that, it did have quite a large deli section there. So that would be interesting to take a look at and see what they have, and to experience the pie as it was intended to be eaten
at room temperature, or even even warmed up. Yeah, sorry about that, John.
Heat it up.
that took John and Pam to Pingados in Óbidos, and the pie hadn't been fully defrosted, had it? So there was a little bit of a shock. Literally,
it was hard. It was frozen in the middle.
Hard to the touch. Okay. Maybe they thought we wanted it for Paralava. Okay, so bon dia, folks, from Darren, making a new home in Porto. How's it going? Sorry about the weather, Darren. I truly am sorry that your welcome hasn't been a little warmer and brighter. But that's coming, mate. That is in the post for us here in Portugal. My local mercado, this is a favourite shopping experiences for Tabitha. Local mom and pop store then Continent after that, and Amazon.es. Remember, of course, if you do Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk, you might find yourself with some tax to pay. So use Amazon.es. Thank you for your buying habits there. And John, you're being asked by Pete here. Looks like a beautiful bridge and chapel in Ponte Lima. Will you be doing the Compostela walk at any point?
Probably not anytime soon, unfortunately.
You're busy enough, aren't you?
It's
Busy
quite a
enough.
long walk.
Yeah, it's quite a long walk. Yeah, it's not the sort of thing you just pop out and do, is it, after lunch between
But
your next?
I will say I do walk the Camino Santiago probably several times a week because we live 2 miles out of town, and the 2 miles walk the quickest way into town is on the Camino Santiago. So I walk the 2 miles, that 2 mile section all the time.
Oh, okay. So you can actually say you've walked it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. All right, and probably do, right?
back and forth. Probably have a good 15 miles in me.
Message. I said he said massage for Tony. I'm sure he'd be happy with that. Message for Tony. Ciao, Tony. Hoping to make it to Ponlima, and we'll say hi. If I'm in the area. Have a great day from the Portugal sun there. Who wants to settle in Porto? He might be able to help you out in Porto as well. So give him a call, Portugal sun. Antonio F tells us that Pingo Dos, and the person behind that is Jeronimo Martins, has 3,250 stores in Poland.
Oh.
Who knew? Under the name Biedronka Ladybug. So there you go. Pingo Dos is spreading around the world, a little bit like Lidl and Aldi do as well. Looks like a beautiful bridge. Oh yeah, we've done that, and he does 2 miles on regularly there, Pete. And tomorrow is International Women's Day. So what is everyone up to celebrate? I haven't thought about that yet, but we should mark that in some way tomorrow. The late meal, what we call dinner, thank you, James, is customarily something like a cup of soup and some bread. Almuerzo lunch is the main and large meal of the day, usually around 2 p.m. Yeah, but then the big family meal at 9, right? With the kids running around until 11 and going to school again the next day. Hardcore, a social life right from an early age. It was a summer pie. That's where we went wrong, John. It was actually a summer lolly pie, and it should have been sucked, not chewed. Okay, so we'll know next time. We will be fishing the Lima quite soon, John. Another thing to add to your busy schedule. So what's the plan? When are we going fishing?
Yeah, we got fishing reels and flies, and I have my line. I need to load up my two reels, so I haven't loaded them yet. And yeah, we need to get our licenses. Owen owes me a lesson on how to get a license because it's supposed to be at the local multibanco.
You can get it from the multibanco, along with many other things that you can do with your financial.
You can get a local license or a regional license or a national license.
I don't think you can get an international fishing license, but yes,
I think I'll go for a regional because that would be everything north of Porto.
Yep. Late meal in Belfast. Here we go. Here are the different cultural references around the world. Late meal in Belfast is called supper, usually a snack around 1 to 1.5 hours before bed. Thank you, Deagle. And Pete, I'm sure you'll be giving out drinks to pilgrims in the summer. What a fun thing to have on your doorstep, the compostela there. So yeah, maybe give them a few frozen pies as they walk past to keep them cool and nourished. The final, we're at 10 o'clock already, John. I wonder if you can help me a little bit here. We're getting some lovely responses to the Why Did You Move to Portugal survey that you can do at goodmorningportugal.com/survey. Top reason, still quality of life. And second is the weather, interestingly, even though it's not the best of it at the moment. And it's been chilly, hasn't it, in Pontelima just recently?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but no more chilly than, well, certainly not anything like where we came from.
Colorado.
It's just been in the teens. Well, in the mornings, it's been in single digits last week, but then, up to 12, 13, 14. But this week is all fairly flat. So it's like a low of 12 and a high of 15. So it's warming up, at least for the lower temperatures is warming up. And then I think after that, it's going to be getting up into the 20s soon. Or low 20,
we are so looking forward to that. Yeah, Darren, don't worry. The good weather is on its way. So those fantastic. Those are the top reasons: the quality of life and the weather. And those are tick boxes for you, I think, aren't they, John? Security and safety, and the people and the culture come in after that. With over half the people voting for that as well. Cost of living comes in after those two, and healthcare after that, and food and drink. The others that have come in, reasons for choosing Portugal, I haven't moved yet, as I mentioned earlier on. And we work, look at this, we work, show, and breed Portuguese water dogs. So we came to a show here and fell in love. at a Portuguese water dog show. That is fantastic. And thanks for all the other comments that you've all been making as you've done those survey as well, and letting us know how else we can help you. Is there anything else there, John, that I've missed out on? Or, can you add anything to that list for the reasons why you moved to Portugal?
I think Pam and I agree with a lot of those things: quality of life, health and safety. But I would add just wanting a bit of an adventure as well. When you're retired, you can just sit back and play golf or something. But for Pam and I, we wanted to experience new cultures, learn a new language, do some travel without it being some epic journey. So living over here, it's much easier to get about, whether it be train or even air flight, and just explore all that Europe has to give. I mean, I know there's plenty of other places in the world, and if you don't know already, I grew up in Southeast Asia. In my nature of my work, I've been all around. I've been, in Saudi Arabia. I've been in Cayman Islands. I've been, working for a Russian company. So my career has been a lot of different places, but I never really got a chance to explore Europe too much. I visited on business, Helsinki and Geneva and things like that. But I wanted to find out a lot more about my own family background. Both Pam and I come from different places. Like on her side, her great grandfather came from Trondheim, Norway, and my ancestors come via Norway, via Normandy. They came over to England with Guillaume the Conqueror.
Oh wow!
And then on my father's side, they were from the Rhineland in Germany, south of Aachen, in the town of Heimbach, which is my name.
Yeah. So all of that to delve into. Now you're here in Portugal and in Europe as a perfect jumping off point.
Yeah, I want to explore my own family history. Why not? Why does it have to remain a mystery? So I'm going to find out all I can about our families, where we came from, and all the stories related to those, if I can, and on her side as well.
Superb. Thank you for joining us, John. A few more things, including dad jokes to share this morning. Been in touch with Tony, says Portugal's son. He might not have recognized my name. Also looking to visit Vitor. Maybe John can join us. Let's make a party, because there ain't no party like a PDL party. John's up for that, I think. Can you get a license, or do you need to go to Seth for that? Yeah, are you licensed to get the license, John? You could probably get that as well at the multi-bunker.
Well, it's like some things they do here very competently. Like getting a fishing license is very easy and straightforward, yes, and managed.
Yes.
But getting a driver's license is not.
Yes, that's so true. Please, let's not go there. It was all going so well. Let's not rake up the ashes and the past pain for people. You need your residency card, says Pete, to get the license, as your passport number will still get you a fine. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's good to know. So your residency card number, not your passport number. A fishing license. It's hardly rocket science, is it? Why not make it simple? Okay, you'll need a boat next too. So if you fancy building one, and one of my friends Luke and Sarah have a great video on how to make one with a chainsaw. There you go, John.
We can fish with waders, so it's fly fishing, and I use what's called fly in a bubble. So you have a fly, and you have like a 2 meter long lead line, and yes, that's tied to a clear plastic bubble. So you can cast it to whichever eddy you want. You have much more accuracy of where you're going, and more flexibility. And it still plays like a fishing line. It still plays like a fly rod in terms of yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Once you have input your NIF, the authorities know who you are. At that point, surely the only barrier between you and the fish should be, have you paid? The fish barrier, the famous Portuguese fish barrier. Absolutely adventure, easy to get anywhere. Plus, I get a 75% discount on trains, etc. As I'm in a wheelchair, disabled access a bit limited, but Portuguese people are always helpful to make up for that. That's wonderful, Tabitha. Thank you for that. And another great show today. Lots of practical information with plenty of laughs. They're not over yet. Let's do those dad jokes together, shall we, John? This evening. This evening. Oh yeah, this evening.
Always like a good dad joke.
We do, don't we? And this evening we do have the Portugal Business Club, where we're looking at setting up a business in Portugal, and also talking to an amazing Stephen White, who's into the real estate business and teaching people how to become investors in Portugal as well. So that should be good. That's before the Portugal Club as well at 10 o'clock this evening. So looking forward to meeting the members of the Portugal
Business Club to watch.
Say that again, Joe.
I might pop into the Business Club to watch.
It will be interesting. Stephen's a fascinating fellow. He's an expat, and we'll have Raquel with us. So even if you don't see yourself as being interested in business, I think there'll be some useful information there. At the last Plastic Surgery Anonymous meeting, I saw a lot of new faces. That's good. Dad joke gold. Dad joke gold. I started a band called 999 Megabytes. That was a year ago, and we still don't have a gig. Quality this morning. My ceiling is really cool. It's not the best, but it's up there. Those were good, weren't they, John?
The last one was not so. No.
Yeah, better. I should have done. We were spoiled with the first two there, weren't we? Fabulous, John. Last word to you, if you want one.
Just fair word in advertising. Pam's the one that does most of the walking in this family, not myself. But I do try to keep up.
You just wanted to clear that up to make so you didn't sound like you were on
the.
All right, not get into trouble. We're in enough trouble already. We've been talking about the next revolution here. That's all of us. We're all conspirators in that. So hopefully we'll be here tomorrow. Take care. Cheers, John. Cheers, Tony. And everybody, thank you for being here. Bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.